There are 4 simple questions you should be asking yourself to stay focused and frugal. For years, the first quarter of every single year was chaotic when it came to our finances. Here's what happened. We'd get to the end of December. I would total up all of our finances and realize that we had saved some money. And we would feel like in January, it was okay to loosen the reins a little bit and kind of treat ourselves. Well, what was happening was January's treats kind of became February's treats, which became March's treats. And I would look at this spreadsheet at the end of every year and feel like, what the heck is going on during the first quarter? Because it was the only quarter of the year where we ever had to pull a little bit of money from savings every month for those 3 months in order to make sure that we weren't overspending. Well, after a few years, we got good and fed up and we decided that we would fix it. And in the course of fixing things, we came up with 4 simple questions that we ask ourselves, not just at the end of the first quarter, but at the end of every single quarter during the course of the year. And they really do help us to stay focused and frugal.
These aren't complicated and they won't take a lot of time. But before we get into this, if you don't know us, I'm Larry.
I'm Hope.
And we're from Under the Median, where practical frugality meets real life. Question number 1 that you need to ask yourself, is this a want or a need?
At the end of the quarter, a great way to do this is to go over all of your spending patterns for that 3 months. What did you buy? Where did the money go? Was it spent on wants or was it spent on needs? What percentage of each of those? By doing this, you force yourself to sort of come to terms with exactly where you're spending money and where those holes are that could be shored up a little bit if your goal is to save more money than you're currently saving.
This isn't for just big ticket items. In fact, where we failed the most was on smaller items that we thought, oh, this doesn't cost a lot, so it won't really matter in the budget too much. But those are the things that were really hanging us up. So you need to consider this for everything that you're considering purchasing.
And if your goal is to tighten up your spending, let's just say things like your grocery budget or your utility bills, there are a lot of ways that you can lower those common everyday expenses. I wrote a guide that walks you through 10 places in your budget that you can cut back. I give you step-by-step instructions as well as checklists. It's a free guide, and I'm going to make sure that it's listed in the description of the video.
Question number 2 that you need to consider is what's working and what's not. And this can be more than just what you're spending or more than your finances. It can be how you're relegating your time. If you're spending your evenings frantic, worrying, trying to hurry, trying to do a bunch of things, and you're really not getting a lot done, then maybe that needs to be checked out as well.
Having said that, sometimes it is about cutting back on your expenses, isn't it? Every quarter, you should have 3 major areas of your budget that you are focusing on. And we break those savings goals down into smaller mini goals. What exactly are we prepared to do in order to move the needle and lower that expense? That comes in super handy when you're looking at what worked and what didn't. Let's just say, for instance, your goal is to lower your utility bill. You realize that you maybe didn't lower the bill very much, but you were able to reduce your usage of something like, say, electricity. Well, if your bill only dropped $1 or $2, then you know you're going to need to reduce your usage even further in order to get the savings that you were looking for on that utility bill. Analyzing those kind of things does not take very long, but it is critical in figuring out whether the effort that you're putting into trying to save money is actually working and doing what you want it to do.
One thing I always think about is that time is money. So how much time you're spending at trying to save money is very important as well. So you need to be able to make efficient use of your time.
Question number 3, are we actually making progress or are we just staying busy? There's something about the human nature that says, I just like to be busy or I just like to look busy. Look, I'm the girl that creates to-do lists and deliberately writes things on there that I know I just completed so I can have the satisfaction of crossing it off of the to-do list and saying, yep, got that done, because it makes me feel happy inside my soul to have thought I completed something. But that's sort of a sign knowing that I really like to just look busy and not necessarily get things done. Plato came up with the 80-20 rule. It says that 20% of the things that you do should yield 80% of the results. What is it that you're doing? How are you spending your time? And is it netting the result that you're looking for? Are you just happy because you look busy?
So while we're looking into that, we're asking ourselves, what should we do more of and what should we do less of?
Anytime you find one of those tasks that you're doing that is really getting you a lot of savings, those are the things you want to double down on. Let's just say, for instance, you changed your methodology of doing laundry. You've always used your electric dryer or your gas dryer, and you started hanging your clothes out on the line. Well, you notice that you've changed 2 or 3 things, and all of a sudden your utility bill has dropped $30 or $40 in 1 month. And you're like, all right, was it the hanging the laundry out that did it? Let's see if we can hang laundry out more often. What else can we add to hanging out laundry in order to make sure that we're dropping our bill? Always try to figure out whether there's a correlation, whether it is exactly what you are doing that is making the changes or dropping the bills, and try to figure out what those things are that have the best effect with the least effort and do more of those things.
If we're not doing a lot, but we're feeling stuck, that's usually a sign that we need to refocus and not add more to the list. In fact, Hope and I are trying to work at getting more efficient doing what we're doing so we have more time together as a couple. We can do more fun things together, and it'll free us up a little bit. So that's kind of our goal in all of this.
And question number 4 just flows nicely into that, which is, what is one thing that we can simplify right now? This is the question that will help you not feel like you are stuck. You're getting some traction, you're saving some money, and you're like, I don't know what more I can do. What is one thing that you are doing that you can simplify right now? And oftentimes it's that one thing that will allow you to continue making forward momentum and will get you unstuck.
It's so easy to get our processes very complicated. We want to involve so many different factors and try to consider everything. And we work so hard that we're just spending way too much time at it, when simplifying it could shorten the process and give us a lot better, quicker results.
And it's simplifying. Larry just mentioned it. One of our goals this year is to simplify our life. You always have that word of the year that you're working on. Our word this year, simplify. We really want to make our life less hectic and a lot simpler. Figure out what it is that you're really looking to achieve. And sometimes, yes, it's saving money. We all want to save money, right? But why do you want to save that money? What is the payoff at the end of saving the money? Is it because you want to live a simpler life? Is it because you want more time with each other, more time with your grandkids, more time to pursue hobbies? What is it that you're looking to achieve? And saving money will get you there.
These are questions that we ask each other each quarter, but there's the next step, and that's, what are the numbers that really help you to know that you're on track?
Because it's not just knowing the questions, it's not just answering the questions, it's the numbers that you need to know in order to figure out what your next step is. We did a whole video on specific numbers we think are super important when it comes to finances and when it comes to life. And that video is right over there.